last left off, our heroes settled into Hearth, recovering from their recent vacations and swapping stories about how things had led up to the explosive events at Griffin's Perch. But the focus of the day was on two dates. One at the early day with Frederick Vir Nikolai Vir Rocksharpen, a reclusive wizard here, but originally from Yellum, a country that had recently declared itself an ally of the Omidori Empire in its now world war. But your conversation with him, though it was tangled with implications of multiverses and paradoxes, with demonstrations galore, it all boiled down to him asking to join your group, to which you agreed, and decided to set a further date when you had finally gotten more settled into the city, when you would officially induct him into the Stars and Seas Society. At which point you left to go have your second date, the more foreboding one, with none other than Pridwin Co., the enigmatic figure whose airship you had seized out from under him after he had seized it from its prior owners, the even more enigmatic Victor Gray. But as you met him, despite his demeanor and the chilling feeling that you shouldn't trust this person, he offered an olive branch, a alliance of sorts, communication, how he put it, as he unveiled to you a full understanding of many of the events that you had found yourself centerpieces in the last several weeks and months since your arrival in this time. It would seem that a faction known as the Order of Asmodeus had usurped the opinions and loyalty of what he refers to as the Protectors Guilds, the loose conglomerate of knightly orders who all share in common a loyalty to the nation of Arthur, and upmost its people, who, through the actions of groups like Vox and the news focus on the outrage against and protests against the release of one Valente, seemed that there was a difficult route ahead, a nefarious uprising from within that he gave the name to being one group in particular, the Order of Asmodeus, whose name had already popped up on your radar a few times. As you agreed to work with him and the Crown, whose queen was now on the front lines, you left with this information and returned back to Rosemary's, where your old allies and new allies and close friends all gathered around the table and shared stories, culminating in everybody dispersing throughout the night, happy, full of both food and friendship, before settling each one after the other with a clear vision of what the Stars and Seas Society would become. over the next week, you all have downtime. And as many of you have plans, we will go through this one at a time, starting with, let's roll this actually. We got 6 here. All right. And that would actually put us with Zarman. Zarman, what are you doing during this next week?
Which we had that weekend day, right?
Or, I'm sorry, what?
We had like a weekend day first and then the downtime, right?
Yes, Sunday was the next day after the whole Stars and Seas gathering thing, so, yep.
Yeah, we have 1 weekend day, and then much further week.
Which during that weekend day, Zarman would have asked Tirana and if Gwen was up for it for cleaning up the atrium, then going around Sante Guild, ending that day in Heroes Earth.
Yeah, you were looking for, you said, broke out a little bit on my, I heard Tirana.
Yeah, asked Tirana and if Gwen was up for it to first clean up the atrium, explore around Sante Guild a bit, and then end in Heroes Earth. Because, you know, Tirana knows the area better than I do. And if Gwen wanted to look around. But it would involve a bit of cleaning first. Because we need to clean the atrium before Frederick could come over. Because that's when we said we'd send him a letter saying that it's clean.
Yeah, no worries. You arrived there, and the Griffin's Guard are actually there waiting to meet Hanu, and they inquire about her. You speak with this Avalonian fellow who says that he fought alongside Hanu on Griffin's Perch, and that he'd been told that they would have work and hammer it out. Here, they couldn't help but notice the disparate state of this place, and decided that they would start working. And so Griffin's Guard currently they're cleaning out things as well. They indicate that there was a room filled with a bunch of broken glass, and he could tell that there were arcane runes in there, and so he told his mid not to go near it. Which you end up finding to be the teleportation's kind of main room. Tirana explains this to you while you're there. There's a bunch of glass panes, and you can have them inlaid with teleportation circles that can connect this location with other locations, as long as you know the teleportation circle for that place. You can connect it.
Cool. Then the downtime Zarman will just spend, unless you wanted to do the exploration part first.
Yeah, we're doing the exploration part.
Okay.
First. Yeah, there was any work for you to even do when you got there. So when you arrived, you help out for a little while, but you can quickly tell that this is more than easy work for capable soldiers, and they seem to be happy to have something to do, and you can kind of understand that. Post-fight, people process things differently, and that's a pretty common one. And they all seem like pretty good people. You suss out through your time there. Gwyn said that you guys, after you did the cleaning up stuff, but she was going to continue her training routine until then. So you help out until she arrives after a little while, and that's when you guys set out to explore Sante Guild. Now, Sante Guild. All the buildings here, like as you've seen in the past, are very fortress-like. Most of them are walled off. They're not very big fortresses, but the nature of them, you can tell they're squat. They have like sturdy fences and walls around them. Many of them have towers or are made out of thick stone and brick. But they come in a variety of styles. Most of them have the general alien look that you've seen up to the rest of the city. Beautiful red brick, ivy along it. They look more like estate manors. Some of them with these white spires that have that kind of crooked wizard hat like top on the top of the spire, which seems to be a distinctly Alvalian flair. But some of them look like they've got a particular Eastern kind of look to them. A couple of these you notice actually have their gates fully closed and are not open. Most of the rest of them, their gates are fully open. People are coming in and out. They look really busy around here. And the groups around, they don't really even seem to notice you guys. I mean, you're an eclectic, weird group, but this place is a lot like that. I mean, everybody you look around goes around in groups of like 2 or 3 or 5, sometimes like 8, and they're all as varied and strange as you look. This is clearly the adventurers' quarter of the city. There's a few things that you hear some rumors about here. One being that there was an alchemist's dragonfly or some sort. It's very clearly mechanical in nature. A few of them have spotted them. They look to be made out of like beautiful gold or platinum. And they occasionally like shine a little bit, which is the only reason anybody's caught notice of them. It only seems that over the last week, people have begun to see them, but they don't know if they've maybe been there longer, and it's just taken a while. Some people are like, no, I've heard it for much longer than that. And the other major thing is Tirana informs you while you guys are walking, we should probably go to the Hero's Hearth. The one here is the headquarters. You'll find a Hero's Hearth everywhere, mostly throughout the Sovereign States, but there's even one in Chaubignon.
Sounds interesting.
You can think of it as an adventurer's rite of passage. Every guild ends up meeting old Colhin. Which of the two would you like to go? Gwen briefly mentioned something about, and you guys ever heard the stuff the first time about the dragonflies. It briefly looked like it triggered a memory with her, but it looked like you caught like a look and you asked her about it. But she was like, "Oh no."
So I can do 3 things or just 2?
I-
I don't remember.
You have 3 checks that you have to be able to do for a day of exploration.
Yeah.
You get 1 check of aid from somebody, from an NPC. So you have 2 other checks, or 1 from each of the others, right? So each one of them can only help you with 1.
Yeah, if Gwen seemed interested in the dragonflies, we can see what we can do about, or just look around for the dragonflies.
Okay. Piranha just crosses her arms and says, "Well, as long as we make it to the hero's hearth, eventually, it's not like
I
they close."
think it would be best if we made it towards the closer to the evening. We still have daylight. It might be easier to see if we could see a dragonfly or something. Seems to be interesting to Gwen.
Have you met Old Colhin?
No.
Oh, see. That was just a surprisingly insightful thing for somebody who hasn't met him to say. Old Colhin hardly wakes up until the sun goes down. And she will give aid during this if needed. Or looking for the alchemist dragonfly. Fairly easy, actually. First, I need a note on it. All right, it is an investigation.
And is Gwen giving the aid? Because she was interested
no,
in it, or is it Tirana?
No, it would be Tirana.
Pretty good, yeah.
All right, not bad actually. In that case, Ron, I didn't even need to help. All right, cool. So, you guys end up walking around for a little while, and Tron actually just mentions like what several of these different headquarters are along the way, and it ends up being a lot of names over the time that you guys are walking. And you're mostly focused on keeping an eye out for these dragonflies. But it does make your guys walking around look far less suspicious in the process. And along the way, you actually notice a bit of a pattern that many of these dragonflies are actually flying towards or coming back to and from certain trees. And when you look inside of them, there actually looks to be like what looked like very strange kind of like bee nests about the size of your head. You find them in a couple of the trees, and they crawl in and out of these things. You realize that they're not harmful when you manage to approach this thing. And when you touch it, you realize it's actually made out of metal. It's really cold. Opening it up, you hear you have damaged the property of the Arvalian alchemist. Our lawyers will be getting a hold of you. And then all of a sudden there's a flash of light in your face. The thing makes a clicking sound on the inside of it, and then you see all of the dragonflies that are nearby suddenly fall down and drop.
I guess this is why I usually don't do the investigating.
It's surprising that you even noticed where they were coming from. Gwyn picks one of them up. He looks at you guys. Property. We should leave them.
Yes. Zarman will try to gather the ones that were flopping back into whatever it was in.
Mm-hmm. Tarana just puts a hand over her face and you see her pinch between her eyes. They once told me that guild was cursed. This has to prove it. Cursed to forever deal with lawyers. Okay, well, it looks to be getting close to nightfall. We should head to the Hero's Hearth. Meet
Yes.
Old Colin. Perhaps we'll be lucky enough to see him put on a show. And right at the end of this block, right, is a rather large estate. It's actually, as far as you can tell, 3 buildings behind a walled gate, and it stands really, really tall. It's the quintessential Disney-looking castle too. I mean, it looks very much like the Disney castle, and it's getting to be late at this point in time, and the gates are wide open, and you could probably have 50 people arm to arm walk through this gate, and there's quite a large throng of people that you can see heading into it already, just trickling in. People seem to be moving from various guilds heading into it. You see a couple people kind of trying to entice their fellow guildmates to come out to Old Colhin's, right? They heard a tip that he's going to be putting on a show tonight, and Piranha says, "Oh, well, cursed, but also lucky." And as you guys make it, there's the confirmation that Old Colhin is going to be putting on a show, with the fact that the wizard hat kind of spires actually been let off this bluish glow, and the doors are wide open to the inside where you can hear music going off. And as you enter into the hero's hearth, you can see that it is a massive kind of Viking longship hall. You passed by two buildings on the left and the right on your way in that looked more like lodgings, but this central keep, when you enter into the inside, just walks down a couple of steps into a grand feast hall that goes to your left and to your right with a big table down the middle of it, and there's just people sitting on either side of this on this long bench, and they're all drinking and laughing, and I mean it's a motley crew of the finest warriors in Alldale. And looking around, you see that Tirana is going, I don't see the old king himself, which means that we haven't missed his entrance yet. I was worried there when the lights came on. We should find a seat at the table if we can.
Lead the way.
The central whole portion of it, you can see walking past. There's a lot of people already sitting there. You notice actually someone you've seen before. Surprisingly, they're in this gold lion's crown kind of outfit, and there's definitely a few whispers going by that you pick up of people remarking on the fact that the man himself from the Lion's Guard is actually here. Guilds that go on to end up protecting the crown very rarely end up coming back down to the hero's hearth. But there they are, and you hear, you see a couple of other people that are like sort of flanked around them and stuff that seem, just based off of various garbs and body language and the way people are sitting on these benches, seem to be divided out into just smaller factions. But a couple of them are kind of cloistered around the Lion's Guard. And you see a couple of them actually look y'all's way as you enter. But there's not a near enough amount of room or anywhere to sit near there as you trio of paladins make your way further down the bench and get down to this seat just as suddenly all of the lights go out inside of this room. And there's a soft blue glow coming in from the outside the windows, where the ambient magic light from the spires is the only thing providing any sort of light. A few people whisper. You see like a couple people down the table like light up with various bits of magic. There's a string of a couple of people doing dancing lights, orbs that just bounce up around the room. And there's just as that kind of starts to happen, you see as the hearth itself lights up with a great roar, and this jaunty tune starts to play out from the flames. And you watch as the notes start to actually bellow out from it. Like the little flickering embers that come off from the ends of the flame form the symbols of musical notes. And they drift by through the room as each of them play off from it in this elaborate orchestra. I mean, it's not a subtle little, like, ditty of bards. This is an orchestra song. And it blazes through this room as the notes kind of drift by and they're flickering incandescence between all of the orbs of light cast by the mages in the room. And Tirana says, and this song will go on for some time, but he definitely knows how to put on a show. I think after a couple of thousand years, though, you really start to have to prove something, don't you? And it does go on for the next 15 minutes, this orchestral sound. People drink, and there's some subdued conversations throughout it. Some people are just caught up in rapture of it, though, right? You notice there's some people who just, like, are dazed by it. But not you. I mean, you suspect, I mean, they might be drunk, right? That might be part of it, right? Or that, you know, you've also seen magic and heard magic that bedazzles people. And some of these people look fairly, you know, bedazzled. But to you, it's a song, and Tirana doesn't seem to be anything from it. Gwen herself is enraptured by it, right? And listens, like, intently the entire way through it. There's like a few moments where she just seems very stern throughout certain parts of it, and the light from that hearth literally just flickers in her eyes and gives this very intimidating persona to her. And eventually it dies out and the lights kind of come back on, and some people go, was that it? Well, I guess we won't be seeing him this time. Odd. Few people mumble and grumble. You note that the Lion's Guard person kind of, like, doesn't seem the least bit phased by it. Somebody whispers to him, and he just leans to the side and goes to, like, wipe his mouth with something with his napkin, and shrugs his shoulder, and that's it. Gwen goes, the harp is behind the heart.
Oh.
Gwen looks at you and she says, it's only the interlude. And sure enough, Lung strikes back up again, but this time the lights do not die down, right? They all get much brighter. And you can see the musical notes are actually flicking out from the flames of the torches in the braziers and the large candelabra over your head, and it's got this surround sound effect going on with it now. And you see as Gwen stands up, and she turns and she looks at you, Zarman, and she looks at Tirana, and she nods her head and she goes, "Would you care to walk into flame with me?"
Should we be doing that right now? Zarman will stand up next to her, but should we?
On this opportunity, it's an invitation. You watch as Tirana just goes right past both of you all and bolts right in the hearth. And the flames just around her, and she's gone.
Yeah, as Tirana does it, then Zarman will follow suit.
You step through. You can still hear the song, but it's now not as bombastic. It's being played on a simple organ, actually. You can see a harp and a piano, many instruments, in fact. And this circular study, this chamber, they're all set on various stands and dials raised up on platforms. But you can see that they move with mechanical gears that lift them up to these various heights. And some clockwork design can move each of them right into the center, where right now in the center is this grand organ. And you can see there's this rather large Goliath, balding head. He's got a top hat sitting on the bench next to him, big old belly, and he's got a wicker basket next to him with, kind of a whole picnic laid out across the bench, and he is just one hand going at it on this thing, while his other, he is just stuffing his face. His back is to you guys at the moment, so he hasn't seen you guys arrive through it. But he goes, "Oh, yes, somebody understood. It was an invitation." And he drops his sandwich and his other hand goes down and he starts playing it now with more enthusiasm. And several of the other instruments you can see are kind of playing themselves and are supplying the rest of the instrumentation that you were hearing outside, right? They're slightly more subdued sounding here, but you can still hear them. And he hasn't turned to look at you guys yet. He kind of turned his head a little bit sideways for a moment when he said that. You could have said his eyes were closed. He seems to be really into this, just sort of swaying with it as he does. And from what guild do you come? I know you.
Stars
Your
and Seas.
songs sound familiar. God. Seas. And the note went off for a moment, and his eyes open, and he continues playing. You know, and for just like a fraction of a second there, he had lost it. But his other hand off of it now, as he turns around on the bench and actually looks around at you guys with his dumbfounded expression. And you can see he's got this kind of chubby face. He's a bit on the heavy set side for a it's mostly like a lot of neck rolls with a lot of like stubble, right? And he's bald, and he's a little bit on the heavy side with a big old belly. But he turns and looks at you. He's got rings on his fingers. He's pretty well dressed. It's a long, intricate robe, and Glenn takes a couple steps forward, and she says, "I believe this song played by an old friend once. I've had a bad turn of memory lately. Perhaps we know each other." Perhaps we... My eyes. There's no way they would deceive me here. But your voice, your demeanor, every aspect of you says that you are Saint Ava. Oh, the inspiration and revival! Oh, this will make such a glorious song. And you see as the thing actually shifts in that mid thing and a completely different song starts to play off from it. And it becomes slightly kind of somber as you see a tear roll down his face for a moment, and he goes, "No. But for some dastardly fate has befell the greatest queen of, say, Knight of Dragonborn, you who hold her symbol so dear. What foul fate has befell our great maiden?"
From what I understand, it seems to be some sort of soul sickness. She doesn't remember much. Following the song was actually a kick for her, I think.
There are, of course, spells that can curse memory, but none that would befall fate as she. No, it is because her power has been robbed.
Zerman just tilts his head.
Ballad of her restoration. And looks at you.
I actually didn't hear that last sentence he said.
You aid her this ballad of restoration.
Whatever I can, I guess.
And where art Victor?
Victor, but I'm not sure how much you've heard of what we've done since arrival. He actually followed that creature when the airship blew up. Creature took him somewhere. Said something about having to go back.
Of course. As is the way of the champion of duels. Come and go as he not for our gain or understanding. Well, fear not. For the Stars and Sea Society has always held a place in my heart. And if brave and noble knights such as thee, and company such as she, are to set out into these lands, seeking adventure, brave and dangerous, know that you will have a friend at the hero's hearth, a place to rest and mend.
Thank you.
But before you settle out this world, know that one is she is one of honesty. And as the light exists, it shall always cast shadows. So as the truth exists, so shall lies. Be wary of this, and prepared, as I grant thee my blessing, to always know the truth of someone's heart. And you gain Old Colhin's blessing, which lets you gain the ability to cast a Zone of Truth once. You can regain the blessing of Old Colhin anytime you rest at a hero's hearth.
That's fun. Is it a free cast or?
It's just a free cast.
Cool.
And Gwyn steps forward and she looks at him, and you can see as he plays the final last note of this improv piece that he was working on, and it gets quiet there for a moment in the room. A couple of the instruments are still playing some final tunes. You can hear it on the harp and the strings, but all the percussion is gone. And she steps forward, and she seems so small next to this giant. And you're gonna look at him closer now, and you see that his silk fine regalia is actually like a silken nightgown, and that the cap that's laying on the bed thing next, or on the bench next to him, and his picnic basket of food is like a silken nightcap. This guy doesn't get out very much. You can tell by the stubble on his beard. But he strikes an imposing silhouette next to her, and she begins to hum a little tune. He goes, yes, yes. Oh, I do love that one. I think I could play for a while. If you would play with me once more, my lady. don't know if I will remember how. She looks at you for a moment, Zarman, and you realize that she's like, go ahead and give me a persuasion check.
Okay. Uh, 23.
Alright, yeah. Do it. She nods her head, sits down next to him. He's still playing. And you're kind of like, waits for a moment, hesitates there for a second, and then right in with it. And you watch as she plays with this giant for a little while on this organ. A very sweet and simple old melody. He whistles along with it. And Piranha, at one point, actually hums a portion of it. And she goes, that's the Radiant King's Lullaby. It's an old Fae song. And then you guys round out your stuff. Gwen actually ends up recalling she met him, and they exchange some banter that goes completely over your heads. You have no idea what they're talking about. There was something involving a fish of some sort, and I guess maybe a fishing competition, and you're not exactly certain anything else past that. They were very much talking in, oh yeah, you remember, yes, I remember, inside joke thing. And it was such a startling level of clarity from Gwen that, they play the song, another one of those Faye songs again. This one like a spring song, and she starts to hum it for a moment, trying to remember it, and says, "Oh, it's much too early for that. We are just beginning winter, my dear." And where's what? Spring can always still have its seeds in our hearts. Might as well let it blossom. And I play this little ditty. It's late. You guys head back out. He plays a couple of songs on the little organ, just a few little notes, and you guys teleport right in front of the hearth. And you look around. Most of the headshots no longer there. Big people gone. You guys make your way back, and then you've got your week of downtime.
Yep. Which Zarman would have asked Toronto for, like, where records for all the expenses would be. And then Zarman will spend a week working on the expenses and the plans that was made. Because we don't have a valet yet.
No, but that Eliza ends up spending her week going through a hiring process for, and pretty much
And Zarman will also write a letter out to Frederick, just saying that the atrium's cleaned up.
mm-hmm.
So he's free to come over whenever.
And the atrium gets finished fully getting cleaned at the end of this week of downtime, so on Friday. But it's still operable, and people are going in and out and stuff throughout that. The Griffin's
Not as much of
guard.
a disaster, so it's fine.
Oh, exactly. They got most of the big tangles and weeds out, cleaning the rooms out on the first day. The rest of it was just general repair, maintenance, and the Griffin's guard are, we're happy to lend their work for it for those first couple of days, and then you guys ended up hiring people, and it started getting really quick. And hiring processes for the happens over the course of this same week. Eliza's there at the atrium as literally interviewing them in the middle of this construction zone, which she does on purpose because, hey, this is the mess you're inheriting as our valet. Hope you're ready for it. And all right, perfect. Next one up is Jack.
Oh?
What are you doing over this week of downtime? Do you attune to that book that
very, very hesitant about attuning to this. But
Wait.
hang on, let me just check something quickly.
Unlimited power.
Hush you.
Oh god, it's the one green that starts talking to the
It's those sweet nothings. Watch out, Kat.
Alright, you know what? Yeah. We're totally gonna attune to this. I'm sorry, honey. I apologize in advance.
Okay.
All right. All right. As you attuned to it, I sent you that link, so that is all of the information sussed out this book. You are aware of everything you've read out of that.
Yep.
You believe that further delving into it might end up coming with certain risks. Speaking of which, I need you to roll me a percentile die.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. 50, woo!
Right in the middle. The way I like it.
Oh no. Wow, you rolled a 50?
Good. It's enticing, and time kind of stole itself away from you as you were seeing it at first. the candles burn themselves all the way down to just little pools of wax on the tables and bedsides in your little nook in Rosemary's attic. And you know how to make your thing now.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know you do.
Hell yeah.
One last week.
In that case, Kak would totally not read the rest of the book straight away. I mean, like, you know, focus on it. We'd work on finishing his thing as best he can.
Okay.
He needs that bad boy.
All right. Then, at Friday, you know that it's go time. All of the stuff is together. You just have to say the final incantations, flip the switch, wait for the lightning bolt, you know? And it's alive. And we'll get back to that. As our next person for this is Babette.
Oh.
I think your mic's not working.
Yeah, you're solid green.
I thought maybe it was me doing that
About now.
again.
Cool. So Babette is going to spend some time looking into how to disguise other people, because she's realizing now that she's got all of these people around her, I have to actually be able to help them too. And she's also going to talk to some of her contacts about just kind of keeping an eye on where Valente is at, because she kind of wants to make sure, see if he's going to be a threat to the group, because they might be on his radar potentially.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, what's your intelligence modifier?
I think it's 0.
Okay. Well, then,
Yeah, it
after
is.
this week, you have 9 weeks left to go. It's a disguise kit. Yeah? That long. It's like 2 months.
Okay.
And then we get to Zale.
Yep.
What are you up to?
Well, it
It's
took us
Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, to go with Kelly to the garage and try to find the garage.
All right. So, Montcalmus is where your deed is at, and you go looking for it for a little while. Finally, the block, you know, the address systems here are pretty simple. They have like a general block address, and because things get bulldozed down and built up and over time so many different ways, that they just have this general block address that you see first, and you narrowed it down to that. But you have no idea inside of this where it is, right? And it occurs to you to get a vantage point at some point in time. You said you were going with Kelly, right?
Yep. It's me, Kelly.
All right, cool. So you and Kelly make your way through Montcommerce, which it's along this lakeside, and then it's got rows of shops that kind of go down, about 6 of them, and then it's just a bunch of these circular blocks of bazaars. And somewhere in the midst of all those bazaars, Kelly's kind of like, idly looked at a couple places and goes, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be able to find it. We've walked around this place 3 times and we haven't found a single one with that number. It makes much of a sense all the way they have their addresses here. How does anyone get any mail at all? I don't understand it.
I don't know. Maybe by birds?
I suppose that makes sense. Perhaps it's more of a... more like coordinates, actually, than an address. In that case, you might have to go get a better vantage point.
Oh, you might be right. So starts kind of looking up. They're getting like a kind of roof access so you can get to.
Yeah, you take some time walking around before you find one, but you do, and you make your way up. She kind of stays idly down below, and then to shop for what appear to be arm tools or something that somebody's selling out on a rug. And as you get up there, you actually see the block based around it, and you can see immediately what the problem is. There's a building right in the middle of all of those buildings, and the access has been completely cut off from it. You climb back down, you climb up on the other side of the street and get another little vantage point from around it, but you realize that even from there, jumping across, it's going to be pretty hard. And Kelly goes, well, I'll tell you this, I am not much of a jumper.
I mean, I can get myself across, but I can't get you across.
Maybe when you get over there, you'll be able to find some sort of other way to get through. Never know. Or maybe there's a way to get down through the sewers. Can't get from above, you can always usually find a way to get in from below.
You mind diving in the sewers with me?
She whirls out her wrench from her belt loop and goes, oh, I'm definitely ready.
Oh, if you can find a sewer accident. And so would go to and kind of near sewer entrance that you can find.
Pops a crowbar out from her belt loop and pops the thing up, and you guys drop down into these sewers, climbing down a ladder, and it is dark and dank down here, just as you would expect out of a sewer. Now, you're here for a while. It's mostly just the sound of dripping water, smell of questionable, unseemly things, and the occasional scurrying rat. You do notice at some point a couple of areas where vines are kind of creeping their way through. Go looking around, and along one of these sections where the vines are, where you figure is probably pointing right in the direction to where you guys need to be going, actually. And looking down at, there are several gates all along a path. You can see 3 of them, with there being like a total of 4 rooms that you can see. The one that you're standing in now, and then there's these. It's like a portcullis type sized gate, but there's not enough space to squeeze between the bars. Looking around and looking up, you do see that like there's a high access that you could jump up, climb through, and drop around on the other side. But it would again require some athletics or acrobatics to get up there. And Kelly goes, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But if you could get over to the other side, I can definitely see that there's a control panel over there. From what it looks like, you probably need 2 people on either side to be able to do it.
Pretty.
Whoever's, however, whoever's on the outside one's going to end up having to do a little tinkering.
Yeah, sure. No.
Side where you're currently at, the water is cut off,
Mm.
right? But on the other side of the gate, you can see there's water in the channel, and you can see that the bars themselves, that it would be pointless to reach your hands through, because when you look down the bottom of the chasm, the water's being held off even between the bars. There's some sort of magical force keeping the water from spilling between these bars. And on the opposite side, it looks like a lot of mildew and plant and fungi have grown up. You see a bunch of like mushrooms and stuff growing on the other side.
By perchance you have anything that could cover my mouth with? Like my nose and mouth?
Maybe if I had a little bit longer, I might be able to make something, but not on hand, unfortunately.
He kind of wraps his kind of cloak around his like closed mouth.
You just have to stay outside of their range. Be very, very careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Let's get above this thing and so would activate his thing.
You're passive. Wait, you're activating your
Yeah. Or my passive 17 acrobatics get up there.
Yes, yeah, you can get up
Okay.
there with that.
Alright. Yep.
It's like an easy thing for you. Look, it's way outside of her range to be able to do it, and then you just up there like it's nothing. But when you get onto the other side, you realize that when you're getting close to one of those things, it senses your motion when you're moving past it, right? And there's a brief moment where it nearly gets you with a spur of gas on the inside of it, and you manage to get yourself back up to the top of it and stay very, very still. You're going to have to stealth your way through this. As essentially your stealth is representing your ability to move without these things being aware of your presence. And otherwise, those mushrooms are going to fill the room you're in with a bunch of gas. So go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Alright. Hey, shit. 23 would be better, probably. 13.
All right. So, I need you to give me a Constitution saving throw.
Natural 20.
All right, you're good. It's not so bad a failure that you filled the whole room up with it, but you did stir a couple of them at one point in time, and it kind of caught you off. But you managed to look away and block it and hold your breath and stay very, very still. And then you continued on your way over to the other thing. She sees you on the other side of it. She waves, and you realize that you can't even hear each other. And she does like a 3 fingers up for a countdown, and she does her tinker's check. And you pull the lever on your side, and she does her little jerry rig on her side, and you see as the gate between you guys rises up. All right.
Kind of.
You guys follow this pattern through the rest of these after that. And she's like, that wasn't that hard. I do think for a moment there while you were in there, I saw a walking raccoon.
What?
I heard about strange things in the sewers, but maybe we should not hang around for too long. Anyways, I think we're almost there. And you guys make your way through this. The water drains out from each one, actually, as you open the gates. They go further back to the ones behind it. You're not certain the sewer mechanism here. This doesn't seem right. When you look at this, it looks like it should be like water should flow the other direction. The wider the gates on it look like bars, but they're actually like holding the water between it. Why didn't they just create like a solid slab, right?
Yeah.
Things about it aren't adding up. And as you go back, the water's literally like retreating back down this chasm, like it's rolling away from you like a carpet. And it's an odd feeling as you follow it deeper and past each of these gates until you reach this large open chasm that the water finally spills around, and there's a circular dais in the center, and Kelly goes, "You have got to be kidding me. Do you know what this is?"
Do I know what this is? They're kind of make a hit.
Looking around, it looks to be like a workshop, a very advanced one of some sort. Give me an Arcana check.
1, 2.
Yeah, looking around for this equipment, from what you can tell, all of it appears to be equipment meant for repairing and building Strauss mobiles. It's like custom Strauss mobiles, actually. Like this was a custom shop at one point in time. There's a lot of dust on everything. The water retreats back up into this thing, though. You see as it actually flows like into the stone, and you watch as this wraparound fish tank around the outside actually reveals, and you can realize that you can actually see through this. At first, what you thought was a fish tank seems to be a enclosed feeding ecosystem attached to Lake Avale itself. Like you can see grates on the other side, and you keep out large predators from getting into it, but you can see a variety of different fish and sea life inside of this fish tank that's curved around the inside of this. This is very well built out. There's some heavy duty equipment in here. Workstations that would be able to like lift engines that are, the size of whole carriages. There appears to be like parts just laying around for Strauss mobiles.
Huh. Well, I'm being. I was wondering why everything was weird. Huh. Why would it be all the way down here?
It's a secret workshop, obviously. Whoever was working on these things didn't want anybody realizing what they were doing. Smart.
Very. Kind of just roams around there. Anything? Any kind of magical equipment here? Just looking.
Looking around, you see that some of the engine things in there have like a bit of latent magical energy to it. There seems to be some magic incorporated in the way some of like the pistons and stuff work and some of the heavier machines. The rest of it just seems to be straight technology. You find a bunch of like what look to be like power cells laying around, what look like not certain like what they're used, but they have a very uniform design. Yeah, there are those give off a slight vocation, augmented with some odd conjuration. As far as you can tell, they seem to have some sort of powering purpose, like little batteries.
Huh.
Other than that, everything else is
Huh.
pristine precursor era technology, though.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, this is
this is from the height of the Avalonian Empire.
wow. Guess no one's been here for a while. And these are very valuable. Huh.
You're telling me that you own this place now? What a catch!
Yeah. Must have been very lucky. I wonder. He kind of looks around. He's like, it's not powered up. He kind of looks for like a control, like a generator. So in kind of like control area.
Give me an Arcana check.
23.
You follow the kind of route that you saw the water kind of pour into, and you realize that this thing actually has a water like right underneath your feet, and that central dais that it kind of split around. There's some sort of turbine underneath it. You have to follow down some steps, very small, narrow, rusty ladder for a moment. I think you should definitely get that ladder replaced. And it requires a bit of cranking and stuff to work at. Takes you a while. She ends up jumping down there with her wrench to end up getting it free. But then the thing vroom, whirs up. And when you guys climb back up to it, that whole central thing that you're standing on, you can like feel the humming underneath your feet from it. And the lights on the inside of that tank light up so that you can see inside of it more clearly. And the lights on the workstations light up. And it's a very comprehensive big place. It's about 100 feet by 100 feet.
This is definitely incredible. I mean, proper adjustments here and then, I can start creating a lot of things I've been designing. Huh.
You got a lot of place in here. I could certainly use a more comprehensive workshop if I'm going to stay in the city. I'm in some pretty crucial developments with Buster that this type of equipment would make it a lot easier.
Yeah. Wonder if there's another way to get in here that's a little more easier than going through the sewers. I'll have to buy out some other buildings around here, knock them down, create some kind of secret tunnel.
Seems like that's what we just came through, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Behind her, down like you can look straight like a driveway almost leading out from this circular cul-de-sac in the center. Right underneath that circular cul-de-sac is the turbine filled out between a grate down to that turbine area. And wrapped around that circular cul-de-sac is the giant fish tank, spanning at least a good third of this workshop.
That's just fucking cool out of character. Yeah, well, I guess it does kind of look like a pathway. Guess up at the Falcon Fields. Huh. Well, definitely there's some things to
Certainly,
be
if
in.
we follow it the rest of the way out, we'll find some way for it to reach a little bit high. I mean, we were
Yeah.
getting these vehicles getting out somehow, weren't they?
Yeah, there must be some way they were lowering these things in here.
I just
So
wondering why they were being so secretive about it. I
I
am
don't know.
very excited to have a proper workshop.
Me too. Me too. It's very
You look
hard.
around. It's very looking around. You can see that like from that central section, you look up and there's a roof, like a glass roof, right above it. And that was like the central section that you would have had to try and get yourself through one of the slightly opened windows. One of the windows is like tilted open because they're on an angle, forming like a pyramid above the top of that circular dais. And that glass pyramid that forms its roof, one of the panels is tilted slightly open. And you had noticed that diamond roof from outside, and it would have been the way to try and get in acrobatically. There's nothing big enough up there to raise or lower things in or out. It's literally the only way to have gotten vehicles or big parts in and out of here would have been through that sewer entrance you just came through.
Gotcha.
Looking around, there was one portion that looks to be and like the door to get in and out, but it actually got literally bricked up.
Oh.
Someone tucked this thing away, forgot about it, or hid it, and then it got sold several times down family lines and then wound up in your possession. They probably had no idea what this thing was because they themselves couldn't find it. But all in an afternoon for a couple of members of the Paradoxes. And you settle out and start looking through all the supplies there, do some cataloging and thinking about your own experiments. And what are you doing for your week of downtime?
For my week, probably, because probably have to start up if I wanted to create my magic items, I'm probably gonna start like an enchanting, room. What was it called on the thing? The magic enchanter. I don't think this thing has a magic enchanter in here.
Okay. Did it say the time on that one? Building that room?
Let me go see. Resources. Find it or click. Enchanter. 15 days.
15 days. Alright, cool. So that'll end up taking you a couple of work weeks to get your way through, but you don't have to actually dedicate your downtime to it, you just have to be there. So if there's anything else you can do with your downtime at the workshop, you're capable of doing that while they're doing construction. You just have to like stay at the construction site until you find a way of more properly connecting it and stuff. But what else are you doing with your week of downtime?
Since I have that's getting constructed and everything, I can't start my projects yet. Let me see all the explorations. Ah, that's right. I was gonna see if Wisteria's doing one of her shows. That was the other thing I was gonna do.
Not this weekend.
Next weekend, yeah. So I go with Inspiration. You did the thing. Commerce. There's them down here. Can I go see what the Secret Garden's about? In
You
Mount Commerce.
did one check already, right?
Yeah.
Checking.
Mhm.
Alright, cool. Then yeah. In the same
I'm already-
district.
Yeah, Mount Commerce.
But still not a downtime event though. I mean, you got a whole week. Exploring takes an afternoon, a day. You know.
Yeah.
What are you working on through your week of downtime?
Probably 15 to 12. I think what I can do actually.
You're gonna work on one of your artificer inventions, or not artificer, but you're building a magic item.
Yeah, I'll start with magic item. I was planning the enhancer before I started that, but I guess we start doing the prototyping of it. So yeah, that's what I'll do. Kind of reconstruction of it.
All right, and you're working to try and make your tool first, right?
Yeah, the all-purpose tool.
All right, which would take you 2 weeks normally. Go ahead and deduct the 200 gold for it. You spend that first week working on it, and while you're kind of like drawing out your stuff and your design for it, I want you to go ahead and give me an Arcana check.
After pulling 30.
Alright, cool, perfect. So yeah, just 200. And you realize, as you're coming upon like the halfway point on this, that you're not going to actually be able to get any further with this. That you need another, that you need a particular thing that you can't just buy, right? What you're wanting is for this thing to be any tool that you've ever had. See, because to make a magic item, you need a schematic, and you've never actually seen the type of tool that you're wanting at the moment, but you know what it is you want, and you did really well in your Arcana check, so you're pretty much creating your own schematic, right? And as you were kind of drawing up your draft for this, you realize that you're going to need something that's got some strong alteration type capabilities. And you ask around about it, you go to some magic shops, you go to some tinkering areas, and you find out that in order to be able to get this, you're going to probably have to search in the graveyard. The graveyard is a scrapyard, really. A junkyard of broken mechanical and discarded old world technology. Things that were largely made by the Strauss family. But also, it's also said to be a discard site for the Auvalian alchemist. Broken equipment, things that, proved to be useless or didn't function as intended, have sometimes been rumored to have been found discarded there, which has started the rumor that the Auvalian alchemist uses it as a discard site. And you feel like your only options would be go to the scrapyard or try and find the Auvalian alchemist. But you have no idea how to find this person.
Yeah.
Your general asks about it indicates that nobody else seems to know either. It doesn't seem to be common knowledge, at least. And you're left with a little bit of a mystery on that. You are halfway through it, and then once you get to go to either one of those things, you will be able to gain the part that you need.
Yeah. Alright. Cool.
And then anything else? Explore on that one day. Try and find the secret garden, right?
Yeah, Secret Garden.
And you heard some rumors and stuff. You know, you heard Kelly talk about those talking raccoons, and you're like, what? I've got to go find them. You follow the odd plant overgrowths, finding some sections that were more closed off than the ones that you had gone through. Not just like mushrooms and stuff, but like whole vines that have closed off portions of the wall where you didn't even realize that you were walking past other tunnels and branching paths. And it takes you a while to start navigating your way through all of this. But you can give me a nature check if you would like.
Yeah.
And a survival check.
23. Which I am pushing it.
Well, you managed to find tracks of slightly larger raccoon-like footsteps, and you trace them and you track them, and it leads you to realizing that some of these things you'll be able to walk through, and some of them you won't, because with your nature check, you realize that some of the mushrooms and or not mushrooms, but flowers that are growing along some of the vines are actually very poisonous. And realizing which ones are not, you realize you don't know. You couldn't tell. You don't know these particular types of plants. But you do manage to find the tracks. And as you follow through on the tracks, you actually walk through one of, like, you can see that they clearly went through this, and you follow through the safe paths, only to realize that the footsteps were leading into a trap, and you knocked unconscious. You wake up in a completely different tunnel than the one that you were in, and end up having to wander for some time to be able to get this. When you find your way up to another access point on the street, and you're on a different side of town than where you had gone through. And right as think you might need somebody who knows their flowers a little bit better to get your way safely through there. Somebody that's got a good nature. Actually, they're close. You did catch the footsteps, but
Yeah.
they led you right into a trap.
Yeah. They'll kind of just
Clever
like
raccoon.
clever raccoon. The damn clever raccoons. I'll get you. I'll get you. Don't worry, I'll be back for you. He says it inside.
And then Hanu.
Alright. Since she knows she has a big week in front of her, she's going to first wake up, and then, knowing this was like one of the few things that was on her head last night, she's going to turn to Arthur and go, "Wanna go fishing today? There's a golden carp out. I want to catch it."
A golden carp.
Eh? I thought it was
I'm
in...
down for that challenge.
Yeah, I thought it was like in my head, but then I was talking to an old fisherman who was in the area, an older gentleman, and she just unloads everything that she's heard about it and then nods to him. "I also got a second fishing pole if you want one."
I went and got my own fishing pole.
Very good.
But appreciate it.
Alright, I mean, we can talk.
Bet you the fish gives you a wish. They always give you a wish in those types of things.
Hmm.
Use a wish.
I thought it was gonna also, like, talk to me. I would've been fine if it just talks to me and swims away, but a wish is okay. Oh, right. Well, first, I gotta go handle some business, and then I will swing right back over here, and then we can go search for this carp. Alright, or at least the starting process. So then, she will make a very quick, since she probably sent a message to the Griffin's guard saying that, okay, we are setting things up, all that other stuff, she will quickly bike over there as they're cleaning up, help along, and then talk to Bryson about all their plans, get things sorted out. And as she's doing that, it's definitely obvious that she's more of the chaotic nature, should grow wherever it is, so she's like helps but not really at the same time. She's just she thinks she's cleaning something, but it's like basically the same thing as before. Like, so it's like, oh, sorry, I grew up with druids, this is just a great druid grove. Anyways, do you guys need anything from me before I head out?
No, we shall have this place up and running in no time.
Alright. I appreciate the effort you're putting in here, guys.
Just happy to be putting ourselves to some use. Hopefully we can find some good work here soon. We look forward to it.
We have a full plate on our hands, and sometimes busy hands make a clear mind. So, she will...
We have the same mind ourselves.
So, she gives a slight bow and a proper salute to them and to everybody else. Then also glance up at that tree that she saw Tirana step in for a moment, stare at it. And are there any kind of fruits that are lying around on the ground?
Looking around, seems to be a few laying around.
Okay.
Fig kind of thing.
Okay. She'll just...
Looking through, they seem to be pretty good. Pretty good, but you had a weird dream. So go ahead and roll me a percentile die.
Yeah, so she's like, oh. 52.
Nothing.
Hmm.
And when you crack open, it's, pretty good. That's it. You want?
She shrugs and pockets them, and then later tonight she'll go ask Fee about what are these things. I've never seen them before. But until then, she will go stroll around the riverside, trying to see if she can come across any fishermen who would know more about this golden carp. And then do some small talk to Arthur.
Alright, go ahead and give me a nature check.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah.
And then a survival check.
Oh, wait. Would I be able to guidance that nature check?
Sure.
Yeah, I doubt it's gonna make too much of a difference, but 11. Better than nothing. And then survival.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at? 14.
Alright, cool. You try to get a decent idea of where spots and stuff are for future reference, but you end up coming up dry, and you can tell this they might be quite elusive one. And small talk with him for a little while.
Yeah,
We're gonna take a break here for a moment, guys,
Gotcha.
and get back at it.
Yeah, we just primarily talk about Maelstrom. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, I'm all for this idea.
Mm-hmm. I got a lot
I
of
mean,
things.
with the amount of money that Stars and Sea Society has now, we could have Maelstrom be a worldwide thing much faster than it happened in my timeline.
That is an interesting opportunity. I can't wait to see unfold. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't know any secret moves that I might have potentially showed, people, right? She looks to the side, suspiciously back and forth.
No idea.
It's probably sticking with the mud then, back then. She'll scratch her chin and just ponder tactics. You're not just saying that because I'll, create a time crunch and then Maelstrom would just be a really weird sport, right?
I mean, no. I don't even understand if that's how this stuff works anymore, so
Okay.
up on that.
Okay.
If me being careful about accidentally destroying the universe is the only thing preventing the universe from being destroyed, it was fucked to begin with.
Okay, I gotcha. So anyways, this is the plan that I have for these tactics, and then she'll go on the perfect team setup. And that will be it.
Oh, righty.
Probably just sit down, do some little bit light fishing, and she just throws the fish back afterwards.
On the upside, Zell didn't get kidnapped by raccoons. He just got knocked out by raccoons.
They're clever. Very clever.
Clever girl.
Put me somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, I got feet. I got my secret weapon.
I've got a flower girl.
Mm-hmm.
I have a flower girl. He is my ultimate weapon. Great.
Clever girl.